In this video, I determined which Marvel Cinematic Universe movie is truly the worst. But before we begin, here is my method for how I figured it out. I use a randomizer to pick 2 Marvel movies, then decide which one I think is the worst and remove the other. I repeat this process until all the Marvel movies are compared, leaving me with the ultimate worst Marvel film. Got it? Great. Let's get into the video. First up, I got Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 versus Ant-Man. Both are pretty mid movies in my opinion, but I would much rather go back and watch Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. It's an enjoyable ride with some great moments, far from the worst. Next up is Black Panther. I gotta say, I'm not a huge fan of Black Panther. I think it was extremely overrated, but that being said, it's still a better movie than Ant-Man. Thor: Love and Thunder, and we have a new winner for the worst. As much as I find Ant-Man to be pretty boring, it's still the best of the Ant-Man trilogy. Thor: Love and Thunder, however, is not funny and the worst Thor movie. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Now this was a tough one, honestly. Doctor Strange has so many plot holes and unnecessary or wasted cameos. Still, Thor: Love and Thunder is worse. Thor: Ragnarok. Well, this one's easy. Thor: Ragnarok is the best Thor movie, and Thor: Love and Thunder is the worst Thor movie. It's an obvious choice. Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. Ding ding ding, we have a new worst movie, people. Black Panther: Wakanda Forever is a terrible movie. Thor: Love and Thunder is bad, but not as bad. Iron Man 2 is a pretty boring sequel, but it's definitely not the worst Marvel movie. So Black Panther: Wakanda Forever stays as the worst for now. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is awesome. It's the best Marvel movie we have had in years. So yeah, it beats Wakanda Forever by a landslide. Captain Marvel. This is a very difficult choice. Both are horrendous movies, both in their own crappy way. I think I'm going to have to give the worst film to Captain Marvel though, only for the fact that it was shoehorned in before Endgame. Iron Man 3. I actually like Iron Man 3. I know this movie gets a bad rep, but I think it's a great time. Needless to say, it definitely beats Captain Marvel. Spider-Man: Far From Home. This is actually my least favourite Spider-Man movie. I know a lot of people think Spider-Man 3 is the worst, but I'm going to make a full video about why I don't like Far From Home in the future, so subscribe for that. Anyway, Captain Marvel is still worse. The Avengers. The Avengers is a brilliant movie. How can you not love it? It's about 10,000 times better than Captain Marvel, that's for sure. Thor: The Dark World. Okay, so Thor: The Dark World is extremely boring, and so is Captain Marvel. But I still believe Thor: The Dark World is better than Thor: Love and Thunder, so considering that has already been eliminated, I'm keeping Captain Marvel as the worst for now. Spider-Man: No Way Home. Alright, not the worst Spider-Man movie, so considering Spider-Man: Far From Home has been eliminated, Captain Marvel stays. Black Widow. This movie is basically really boring and a bad send-off to the character, considering this was Black Widow's last MCU appearance. Still, Captain Marvel is a worse movie. Thor. Pretty easy, the worst Thor movies have already been eliminated, so Thor definitely isn't the worst Marvel movie. Avengers: Infinity War. In no way is Captain Marvel even close to being a better film than Infinity War, so Captain Marvel stays yet again. Spider-Man: Homecoming. Nice and easy, Captain Marvel, why are you so terrible? The Incredible Hulk. Okay, we have ourselves a true contender. The Incredible Hulk, the black sheep of the MCU. It's not great overall, but there are some really awesome scenes in it. For that reason alone, I have got to keep Captain Marvel as the worst. Eternals. Okay, another massive contender. The Eternals is so freaking boring, it has such forgettable characters, and I never want to watch it ever again. You know what? I think it's actually worse than Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel is at least watchable for the most part, but the Eternals just puts me to sleep. So for the time being, Eternals is the worst. Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange is a pretty meh movie, but it was cool the first time I watched it, and that beats Eternals right there. Captain America: The First Avenger. I love Captain America. I'm surprised it took so long for a Captain America movie to come up, but I'll give you a spoiler. No Captain America movie is worse than the Eternals, so Eternals stays. Avengers: Endgame. I definitely love this movie. Despite it not being as good on repeated viewings, it's still a fantastic film in its own right. Eternals doesn't even come close to being better. Ant-Man and the Wasp. Here we go. This is the battle of battles. Both Ant-Man and the Wasp and Eternals are terrible, terrible movies. They're boring, unnecessary, and not fun to rewatch. But I have a hot take here. I think Ant-Man and the Wasp is worse. The reason for this is, that Ant-Man and the Wasp is a sequel, and it had Ant-Man to set the characters up, yet the movie is still so forgettable. Eternals, as horrible as it is, didn't have another movie prior to help set it up. Ant-Man and the Wasp is abysmal in every way. Some people might not agree with me, but I'm putting it as the worst. Guardians of the Galaxy, not even close. Guardians of the Galaxy is better in every way. Ant-Man and the Wasp stays. Captain America, the Winter Soldier. So remember what I said about all the Captain America movies being better than the Eternals? Well, same logic applies here, but for the Ant-Man and the Wasp. So yeah, you know how it is. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. I don't love this movie, but Shang-Chi was a good protagonist and it had some interesting moments. Definitely better than Ant-Man and the Wasp. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania got terrible reviews from both fans and critics, and I can see why. I personally didn't hate it as much as others. I found it to be entertaining enough, and for that reason, I believe it's better than Ant-Man and the Wasp. Iron Man, the one that started it all. It might be the first MCU movie, but it is far from the worst. Captain America: Civil War. Well, this is my favourite Captain America movie, and you already know I like it more than Ant-Man and the Wasp. And finally, we have Avengers: Age of Ultron. Another movie that got bad reviews, yet another movie I personally really enjoyed. Is it perfect? No. Is it better than Ant-Man and the Wasp? Hell yes. And that's everything. We made it to the end, and the worst movie in the MCU is... You already know the answer, it's Ant-Man and the Wasp. Honestly, not the first movie that would have come to mind. If you asked me before I did this what I thought would end up at the bottom, Captain Marvel or Eternals would come to mind. I guess I forgot about Ant-Man and the Wasp because of how truly boring and forgettable it is. And I suppose that kind of cements it, in my opinion, as a terrible movie and at the rightful spot as the worst. But what do you think, good viewer? What do you believe is the absolute worst Marvel Cinematic Universe movie? Agree with me or disagree, either way, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. As always, I appreciate you watching my video. Leave a like, subscribe, but most importantly, don't forget to stay critical. That's the end of the show.